Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 21st of April. I'm CJ Baumgartner, no Corey Tackman today. We got Zeke once again hopping on the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Zeke, post-Easter kind of hangover, how we feeling?
This is my third cup of coffee today, and it's 10:11 in the morning. That's how my post-Easter is going. Had 6 o'clock worship team practice yesterday, didn't get my nap in, and then tried to watch the Wild last night and didn't last past the Tomas Hertel goal. So
the good news is nobody else stayed up with it either.
And they shouldn't have, because no,
I thought about it. It was 1-1 early second period, and we had it on the TV in our room, and I start to go to bed, and my wife looks at me like, you're not staying, like, you wanted this on the TV, you're not staying up to watch it. I'm like, it's 1-1, good game. Like, you can go to bed knowing I watched the better part of it. I'm not staying up for another 90 minutes only for it to be the Wild choked it, and then my week starts off in a bad mood with a little sleep. No, like, the kid was tired and crabby all day, and he finally went to bed. Yeah, no, I'm going to bed too. Like, we're doing this.
Yep. The good news for our house is my son is 9, and he hasn't quite lived through the Wild playoff first round exits yet. And so I have a lot of chores for him to do. And if he gets all of his chores done, he gets to stay up and watch the Wild on Tuesday night, 10 o'clock puck drop. You got to clean his room, clean up all the dog poop out of the backyard, do the dishes, all this work only for him to experience what it's like to be a Wild fan come late April every year.
I did all that work and put in all that investment for falling flat on their face.
Life comes at you hard, me boy.
Gotta learn. You gotta learn. We'll talk about the Wild. We'll talk about the Wolves. We'll talk about the Twins, I guess, a little bit later on in the show. First off, we do want to make sure we talk a little bit about the local sports scene going on. We just released our broadcast schedule for the week. Tomorrow on the Superstation K106, it is a 3:15 pregame, 3:30 first pitch for Wadena Deer Creek at New York Mills, Park Region Conference baseball rivalry, and one of the better baseball rivalries in the Park Region Conference. Although it's pretty good baseball conference, there's a lot of rivalries scattered throughout there. Wadena Deer Creek coming off a good week. They play Pierce today, but on Thursday, they got a big victory, including Ben Krecklau throwing a no-hitter against the Parker's Prairie Panthers en route to a 5-1 victory. Yeah, I know. It pitched a really great game. Kyle Gelsine, who did the play-by-play for us that afternoon, said he talked with Parker's Prairie head coach Denny after the game, and he just basically went, well, what happened? Whatever. He's like, pitcher pitched out of his mind. Nothing we can really do about that. And a 5-1 victory on a no-hitter for Ben Krecklau. And that's a top 3 in Class A team in Parker's Prairie that they put in check. They're feeling pretty good. They roll in and face another team who's ranked in the top 5 in Class A in New York Mills. And that is going to be Tuesday from Jacobs Field there in New York Mills. I believe that's the right name. I'm blanking on it now. And somebody from New York Mills is rightly going to tell me I'm wrong, but that's fine. I deserve to be told I'm wrong. That's what Zeke and Corey's job is. That's going to be a good one. Always will be. Good venue for baseball there in New York Mills. 3:15 pregame, 3:30 first pitch tomorrow. We'll talk more about that on tomorrow's show as we kind of get a full preview of the game. But then on Friday, got a high school softball matchup, non-conference, non-section, Wadena Deer Creek at Staples Motley, 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch. Kyle Gelsine on the call on Friday afternoon from Staples on their softball complex there. Find the full broadcast schedule online at wadenaradio.com, Superstation K106 mobile app, or Zeke, you could check out Sports Cow on Facebook.
Moo.
Did you see Friday's show? We had Jared on, our sales guy, Jared.
I haven't watched it. I know it was the Lakers Wolves preview, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he did a good job. We welcome Jared for coming on to the show. I did my whole spiel, said the Sports Cow thing, and I said, this is the part where somebody needs to say moo. And he held on to it for like 4 seconds. It was like a long and good one. I was like, no. That's not the tone. It's a quick moo. Moo. He went moo. And it was like, you just pulled a Liam Cohen Duval moment there. That's what he did. And it was glorious.
We'll throw the audio into the new Sports Cow promo on the Superstation. You'll throw everyone off.
That's where it's going. So we'll see how long it takes Jared to realize. All right. Well, first, before we get into the state sports, we do need to talk a little bit about some standings going on in the Park Region Conference. Let's first take a look at how things are shaking out so far in softball. In the PRC, here's how it's looking. Monaga in first place at 6-1 in the conference. Wadena Deer Creek at 4-1. Otter Tail Central at 2-1. New York Mills 1-1. Sebeka 2-3. Pillager 3-5. Parker's Prairie 1-2. Bertha Hewitt Verndale 0-5 in the PRC softball standings. As we look at things here, why don't we take a peek at the Heart of Lakes? Dilworth, Glendon, Felton 3-0. Holly 2-0. So is Park Rapids area. Barnesville 1-1. So is Breckenridge. Staples Motley yet to play an HOL game in their new HOL era in softball. Pelican Rapids 0-1. Frazee 0-2. Perham 0-4. Again, all of these courtesy of the MN Scores app. Looking now on the baseball standings here, again in the Park Region Conference, courtesy of MinnesotaScores.net. Here's how the PRC shakes out in baseball. Wadena Deer Creek leading the conference at 4-1. Parker's Prairie and Otter Tail Central tied at 3-1. Sebeka 2-2. Bertha Hewitt Verndale at 1-2. Pillager 1-2. New York Mills 1-3. Monaga 0-3 as well on the Park Region Conference standings. They're looking at the HOL. Perham 2-0. Dilworth, Glendon, Felton 2-0. Breckenridge 2-1. Frazee 2-1. Park Rapids area 2-2. Staples Motley 1-2. Holly 1-2. Barnesville and Pelican Rapids both 0-2. There's your conference standings there as we are on the 21st of April, kind of at the unofficial midway point-ish of the season. You know, if you look at when practices start compared to the start of the postseason, we're kind of in it. May is at the end of next week. And once we get into May, things really ramp up for spring sports. It's like we got to get all of our games in because playoffs are coming and we got to try and get lined up here. So we'll see what happens. Should be another good week of sports ball here on the Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. And before we talk about those state sports, we do need to talk about the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, Zeke, because there's just a lot of good things happening there. As always, do you know, for a limited time, you can get 2 medium pizzas for just $22.
I do now.
That's a good deal. That's a really good deal. You know, you buy 2 medium pizzas. Maybe that hosts your family for the night. Maybe you're like, there's no way we can eat 2 medium pizzas. Maybe like, you know, just me and my wife, we just are only going to go through one. That means you have a whole pizza to meal prep throughout your week. That's pretty darn good. I would say, you know, you could eat it in the restaurant, but let's be honest, if you're going in the restaurant, you're getting the world famous buffet. You're getting the chicken, the mashed potatoes, the salad bar, the pizza, dessert pizza, all of the good stuff that goes on the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, salad bar, buffet, all of that stuff. If you're going to get the 2 medium pizzas for $22, it's probably on getting it to go, either calling in or going on their app. Their app is super easy to use. You can track your ranch rewards points, which means the more pizza you buy, the more free pizza you get. I'm no math expert. But see, that's a pretty good equation. Buy more pizza, and then I'll get free pizza. Okay, that works for me. I'll be doing that. And then when you go there, you just go to the FunZone Arcade too, and you play to your heart's content. There's a new Star Wars game there, allegedly that is like the Avengers game that they had. Just this big unit you get to go play. You got some cards you get to kind of follow. You can play as your favorite characters from the original trilogy. It's just a really great place to be. And then, of course, you can use all those tickets and turn them into prizes, of which some of the granddaddies of them all include mystery boxed jerseys that you can unbox that are autographed, and they are always super high quality. Again, I can't stop saying this. Remember when we gave away a Wade Boggs jersey that was autographed?
I do. It was awesome.
It was awesome. Super awesome. And you can do that whenever you go to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, proud sponsors of the Morning Sports Desk. All right, Zeke, let's talk about something good and have it progressively get worse as the show goes on, which maybe just is a thing for how shows go. But Minnesota Timberwolves shot 21 of 42 from three-point range a Naz Reid game by Naz Reid. Jaden McDaniels, 25 points and 9 assists. Anthony Edwards didn't have the best, most efficient game, but was flirting with a triple-double. Wolves win. Wolves back. We-to-ones, Jack. All that stuff. How are we feeling Saturday night?
Awesome. I'll admit I didn't tune in until midway through the second quarter because I saw the Lakers were leading, and I'm like, I don't want any part of this emotionally. And then you and Corey started hitting up the group chat, like, here we come, we're coming. I'm like, oh, do I want to do it? And so I turned it on, and I am so glad I did. I had it on mute because I didn't want to listen to the commentators do the game on ESPN.
What? You mean you didn't want to hear Jay Bilas say LeBron's not a complainer?
I did not want to hear that. No. And he was, especially towards the end, which I'm sure we'll talk about that's 3, but I commented on Timberwolves social media. They said, Wolves fans, describe yesterday's win in one word. And I wrote on there, if I was a Lakers fan, I would use the word lucky, because that's the word I'm seeing thrown out there. The Wolves, they hit 21 threes. Naz Reid goes crazy. Dante DiVincenzo hits the big shot at the end of the first half and stuff. Like, Jaden McDaniels doesn't score 25 at night. Naz Reid isn't going to score 20. Yes, they will. And if you don't know that they're going to, you have paid zero attention to Timberwolves basketball this year. Julius Randle was hitting threes. I mean, it was awesome. And just to see the Lakers shell shock, they didn't know what hit them. After the game, LeBron James, arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, he's been to the finals, 10 times? He says, we weren't ready for game 1 of the playoffs.
JJ Redick.
How are you? Yeah, how are you, LeBron James, not getting your team ready for game 1 of a playoff series when you've been there like 25 times? It just they had no idea what hit them. They were soaking up the media. Lakers in 5. No, it's a 1-game differential between the 3 seed and the 6 seed. On paper, I think the Wolves are a better team.
They are, by the way, the Minnesota Timberwolves, if you look at their net efficiency rating, they are top 10 in net offense and net defense. And if you put them together, the only teams that are better than them are Cleveland, Boston, and Oklahoma City, all of which are considered blue blood title contenders.
They all won 60-plus games this year. And the Wolves had 40, 48, 49. Yeah, so
49, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's unreal that the disrespect the Wolves have been getting in the national media solely because they were playing the Lakers. If they were playing Houston, I don't think they'd be getting drugged through the mud as much. If they were playing Memphis, if they were playing Denver, it's LeBron and it's Luka and it's the Lakers. It's just something we have to tolerate for hopefully only 3 more games.
Yeah. Wolves in 4, tell it ain't. Here's the thing. You talk about 21 of 42 3-point shooting. Here, this is according to Kevin Smith. Keith Smith, excuse me, not Kevin Smith, the director. Keith Smith of Spotrac and Front Office Sports. Minnesota Timberwolves shot 21 of 42 on 3-pointers in their Game 1 win over the Los Angeles Lakers. Of those 42 3-point attempts, 27 of them were classified as wide open. 15 of them were classified as open. And zero were classified as coming against tight or very tight defense. Turns out the Lakers, everybody talked about the Lakers' scoring ability. People have talked about the Wolves' defense. And as I think Corey pointed out on last week's show, the Lakers still have to play defense themselves. And they play a strategy where they basically find the quote-unquote weak link and then double everything. Like they quote-unquote the weak link, and then they just ignore them so that way they can kind of put more energy towards 5-on-4, you know? The only problem is when your team is deep as the Timberwolves are, and with multiple scoring threats, that doesn't work. You have Naz Reid shooting open threes. You have Anthony Edwards shooting open threes. You have Dante DiVincenzo hitting the buzzer. Here's the thing. Naz, Dante, and Nikhil, I mean, Naz had a good game, but Nikhil and Dante, both from the bench, shot like 2 of 17 or something like that. So when everybody goes, there's no way Jaden's going to have a good game. There's no way that Nah and Dante are going to have that bad of a game again. And by the way, even if the Wolves shot at their season-long 3-point percentage, they still would win that game by 10 points. So
we would have been a lot more uncomfortable if it was only a 10-point game. The game's been over for 48 hours, and I still don't feel comfortable with the lead that the Wolves have.
That 30-point blown lead did irreparable damage. It really did. And yeah, I mean, especially when Anthony Edwards went out, it was like a 10-0 run by the Lakers. And you're like, oh, great. They're going to make things annoying, aren't they? Yep. And then Ant comes back in the game after cramping. He's got to eat bananas, Zeke.
As he does, yeah.
He's got to eat more bananas. Yeah. There's a picture for the Toronto Blue Jays who will tell you everything. Go look it up. But yeah. He cramped, left the game. They went on a bit of a run. Edwards came back in, calmed things down. Do you see the clip where Anthony Edwards was jawing with some fans from LA? You can't like make out a ton of the audio, but people are like lip reading and you could see him. And he's like, some Laker fans are trying to yell something about Gobert. And then you can see Ant going like 200 million. And then you can hear like Gobert like says something to him. He goes, oh, 300 million. like, yeah, talk about Gobert's bad all you want.
Yeah.
Because he's making $300 million and he's multiple time defensive player of the year. And everybody talks about, oh, Luka on Rudy's going to be such a liability and all this stuff. And first of all, there's a clip of, boy, I sure am glad Rudy's a liability on defense, because they had a clip of LeBron getting switched onto him. LeBron on the top of the key. LeBron tries to take him to the cup, blocks the shot. Wolves go in transition and bang a Nas 3 in the corner.
Yep.
So I'm glad. And net defensive rating for Rudy Gobert on Saturday's game, 100.
100.
Lakers fans are using the old play Rudy off the floor kind of thing. Turns out when Luka doesn't have guys to lob to, because that's what killed the Wolves last year. Luka just lobbed to Lively and to some of those other guys. The Lakers don't have that. They traded all their size to get Luka. And the Wolves are like, okay. Jaden McDaniels said it. He's like, when Jackson Hayes is on the bench, he's like, I'm the tallest player on the floor. So I'm just going to cut to the basket over and over and over again. And Jaden McDaniels, by the way, averages 12 points a game in the regular season. Playoff Jaden averages close to 20. So everybody doesn't realize and the Wolves came to play. They played their style of basketball. They held the Lakers under 95 points. The Lakers have been held to under 95 points only 9 times this year. 3 of them now have come against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is again the chess match. We'll see what happens. JJ Redick is going to have to go back to the drawing board. He's a sicko, and that's complimentary. We'll see what he does, kind of game planning for the rest of the series. But Chris Finch and company came out to play, and they made a statement in game 1 to the point where Lakers fans were hitting the exits before the game was even over to beat traffic. And Ant talked about playing at Crypto.com Arena, and he said, this is nothing. He's like, I've played in Denver. Denver's way worse. To the point where Denver fans are even like, I want to hate Anthony Edwards, but he keeps getting craps all the time. Like he respects Denver way more than he respects playing the Lakers.
Yep.
And so overall, just a great game. It's the clip of from the documentary last year where LeBron's like, I don't feel like I can't quit. I don't feel like there's somebody better than me. When there's somebody better than me, I'm going to quit. And then it goes to the clip of Ant getting in the Lamborghini.
Yep.
That's going to be this series. I'm feeling so good. Now, granted, it's 1 win, and the Wolves got out to a win famously against Memphis 1-0 and then proceeded to fall all over themselves a bunch. But that being said, the Wolves they're a better team than that one. They're deeper, they're more experienced, all that stuff. This game, too, is important because if the Wolves can somehow tomorrow night find a way to win game 2 and go to the Target Center up 2-0, feeling pretty good. Now, the Wolves have been the worst this season when the wind has been at their backs. So take it with a grain of salt, because every time you get invested in this Wolves team, they decide to play the worst game you've ever seen.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Hey, the first 3 quarters were great.
Yeah, they were.
The last 10 minutes. The first 38 minutes, cinema.
Hurts.
The last 10 minutes,
still hurts.
Dog water.
We would have had home court advantage if we would have held on to that 30 point.
Although it would have meant playing the Clippers, so I don't know if I would have wanted.
That's true. I don't want any part of the Clippers right now.
No, let them, and you don't want to be on the same side of the bracket as OKC.
No.
By the way,
that's what they did to Memphis the other night. Good grief.
Yeah. This is why you avoid the play-in tournament, ladies and gentlemen. This is also why you win the first game. Remember the Wolves 2 years ago? They had to go to Denver, and it was kind of the same thing of like, congrats, you made the playoffs. This team's going to clobber you. Yep. Like, you've been weird all year. Things haven't gone your way. Congratulations. Here's the 1 seed. You're never going to have an opportunity to figure things out. The Wolves are a overrated 6 seed, and the Lakers are a legit 3 seed, but the Wolves have a chance to beat them. By the way, the Wolves beat the Lakers. Those are the only other team to pull off an upset in game 1 was the Houston Rockets losing to the Golden State Warriors. The Wolves would play the winner of the Rockets and Warriors in the second round.
I said this in the text group the other day. If we can go through LeBron, if we can go through Steph, if we can go through Jokic to get to the championship,
where you go through the defending champs and the Celtics
and Boston to win the whole thing. Yeah, let's do it.
Toughest championship ever.
I just used my calculator to find out the point differential on the OKC Memphis score yesterday. The Thunder won by 51 points. I needed a calculator to figure it out. That's 51 point win for OKC.
How do you recover from that in a playoff series? That's game 1.
That's game 1. You don't.
That game's going to 4. And by the way, Oklahoma City has 2 first-round picks and 3 seconds this year.
They sure do. I've seen some mostly fan analysis, but it's like OKC, whoever gets the number 1 overall pick, send all of those picks, send a haul to whoever gets it for Cooper Flag, and just keep building. Send 8 picks. Who cares? Just send them all. And I'm like, please don't do that. Don't do that.
No, he's going to Utah. Let's be honest. They have an addiction to acquiring tall white boys on their team.
Walker Kessler,
Lauri Markkanen,
Cooper Flag, Lauri Markkanen. Let's go.
They also have on their team Kyle Filipowski. Remember him?
Right. Oh yeah. We beat his butt last game of the regular season.
Yep, exactly. So he just is pegged to be a Utah Jazz, I feel like, which would be the worst outcome for him, but the most hilarious outcome.
Great for the league. Like when Greg Oden went number 1 to Portland and Durant went number 2 to Seattle. They had their 2 biggest stars on the Pacific Coast. That was great.
Yeah,
loved it.
Good job. How'd that Durant guy do, by the way? Anything?
He's okay.
Yeah, he's okay.
He wants to be a Timberwolf this season, but I'm not giving up Jaden McDaniels to get him.
That's the thing. Everybody's like, wouldn't you want Durant to know? And for Ant, was like, actually, the best thing for Ant is probably keeping Durant at arm's length and being like that cousin who shows up every once in a while and not like your roommate, because that's just going to get weird. Also, Durant hasn't made a deep playoff run since 2019. That's half a decade ago. Do you really want to trade Jaden McDaniels, or you really want to trade, Jalen Clark, or no. Remember when the Wolves traded for Rudy Gobert, they gave up extra first-round picks. And everybody talks about you mortgage the future. You want to know why they gave up extra first-round picks? Because the Jazz wanted Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
And the Wolves were like, no, you are not getting Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, and you already traded Ant's best friend, Karl-Anthony Towns, to the Knicks. I mean, after the game, he said, my favorite player of all time is Jaden McDaniels. You do not trade Jaden McDaniels after Ant says he's my favorite player of all time. He's untouchable at this point.
You know how silly Ant sounded at the time and was about to sound when he said, they got Kevin Durant, but we got Jaden McDaniels. Every day he seems more and more like a prophet.
Right?
They got Kevin Durant, but we got Jaden McDaniels. Everybody's like, what is he talking about? What is going on? Now it's like, oh yeah, no, what do they need Kevin Durant for? They have Jaden McDaniels.
Now we see the light. Yeah.
We see the vision. We see it coming. Anyway, Wolves in 4, tell it ain't. I don't know. They play tomorrow night. We'll see what happens, but that's a good start. All right, let's get progressively worse. Zeke, the Wild lost yesterday, 4-2. I think a late goal, and then I'm guessing an empty netter, just kind of one to finish it off at the end, was 4-2. Wild right there, losing it at the end. Zeev played.
Zeev is here.
Zeev literally is here. He played in his first game. First ever member of the Minnesota Wild to have his first career game be in the playoffs.
The bar is set high for this kid. He's 19 years old. We waited a long time for him. And by a long time, I mean like a year, because we drafted him last year. We've been waiting for the last handful of weeks, because the defense has just been, it's been so short staffed these last handful of weeks. And now Zeev is here, got 13 minutes of ice time last night. But last night was kind of the Matt Boldy show, 2 goals. And I think if Gustafsson doesn't let that third goal in there at the end, it's a totally different game at the end. I didn't watch a lot of it, but from what I've read on Minnesota fan blogs is that the officiating was quite poor in terms of.
There was a clip where the official was behind the net, like on a faceoff, looking directly at 2 different members of the Golden Knights, who basically high-low Ryan Hartman.
Yeah. Furman South is that official's name, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds like a Division 3.
Yeah, it does.
Cool. Given all Furman,
Yeah, for himself. Yeah, let's not have him back. But yeah, it's been this Wild team is exhausted. They held on by the skin of their teeth for the last handful of months. The one positive is everyone's back, everyone's healthy, and we got a couple games of having our top line guys back, and now is the time to show up and do something, so you don't have a whole off season of apathy from Wild fans. Because if they lose in 4, if they lose in 5, I mean, even if they lose in 6, I think it's a losing season for the Wild. And
considering how they started,
they were the best team in the league for the first 2 months. They peaked early. Kaprizov got hurt, and then just tanked after that, and held on by the skin of their teeth. I mean, if Jules Eriksson doesn't score that equalizer against the Ducks with like 11 seconds left in that the season finale, the Wild wouldn't even be in this position, because Calgary won out, the Blues won out, the Wild would have 95 points and be on the outside looking in, and that would have been even worse than getting swept by Vegas in the first round of the playoffs. So show some life. I mean, the salary cap situation with Parise and Suter, I think, comes to an end this off season, or at least it's heavily decreased. And so
I think it's pretty much done after this year.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that the Wild can do free agency wise with that 13, 14, $15 million.
Fourth line veterans that Bill Guerin can sign now.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Brock Besser as a potential signing for the Wild, and would that work? I don't know. Maybe it'd show that they're gonna go out and do something with the money they haven't had over the last handful of seasons. But as good as the Wild have been, if you give them that 15 mil to work in free agency, I mean, watch out for this team as a cup contender next year. Just this season in a stacked West, I just don't see it. Just win a couple games. Win on Tuesday, so my son can stay up till 10 o'clock for the 10 o'clock buck drop and go to bed happy with a win. That's all I ask.
By the way, Zach Parise right now has a $7.3 million cap hit that goes against 8% of the Wild's cap. Ryan Suter also 8% of the cap at that same number. So good job.
Yeah, Suter in the playoffs with the Blues, though. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Parise's done. He played for the Avs last year. I don't think he played this year.
I don't think he played this year either. He's making the league minimum $775,000. Because why not?
Because the Wild are paying him 8% of their cap. That's why he could sign for a league minimum for the freaking Avs.
Good job, Chuck. Good job, Fletcher.
This is going to get worse, you said? We're going to keep talking about things that will get me progressively angrier?
Yes, that was exactly the point.
Okay.
Looking at the contract terms, 13 years that was signed into, so this is the final year. These are all off the books after this year.
Cool.
So good job, guys. Good job. All right. Well, you want to get progressively worse. Remember, we talked last week, the Twins had won 3 of 4, big series win over the Mets. Hey, things are looking up. Here we go. And then they get some injuries. And then you get one of the top prospects, Luke Keeschall, Twins number 3 overall prospect, number 57 in all of baseball, according to MLB. Huge Luke Keeschall guy. Comes in, RBI single to begin his career, rips a double, gets a few hits over the weekend, and the Twins get swept in Atlanta. Twins were up 3-0, and then a 5-run 8th inning by Griffin Jacks, who once again gets BABIP'd to death. And then you have Saturday's game, which you also blew and lost. So that was doubly awesome. And then yesterday, where Joe Ryan should never be allowed to start in Atlanta again, gives up a home run early. Twins get down 6-0, and they lose 6-2 or something like that. Who cares? A woeful series in Atlanta. We talked about how the next 9 games, the Twins had an opportunity. 3 against the Braves, who were bad. They started the year 0-7 and are now finally pulling themselves out of it. Weird how one team that had expectations coming into the year with the rough start is able to pull out of that, and one team is still floundering. In the Twins, they have 3 against the White Sox coming up. That'll be, if the Twins lose the series against the White Sox, don't even bother watching. The Twins need to sweep just to even pull themselves back to semi relevancy. But remember, it was about this point last year that the Twins ripped off 12 in a row.
That's true.
And as you know, 12-game winning streaks are super consistent and never random and never I mean, and never the last time the Twins won 10 plus games was back in 2008. So that means that was like a 16-year gap between double-digit plus game winning streaks. So all they need is another one. All they need is Kyle Farmer to give us more mystery meat, and we're good. By the way, Kyle Farmer having a nice year with the Rockies. So
why not?
Why not? I mean, it's Coors, but
it is. Yeah, I didn't even want a 12. I didn't want a 12-game winning streak. I was on the record on Superstation last week as saying these next 9 games, 3 against the lowly Braves, 3 against the lowly White Sox, and 3 against the overachieving Angels. These are 9 winnable games. Run off 9 wins in a row against terrible teams, and you're right back in this thing. And they started off by getting swept by the Braves. They're off today, thank goodness. White Sox are actually playing in Boston right now. It's Boston Marathon Monday, and so the Red Sox always play at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And the White Sox were the lucky team to get their game out of the way today. So they're playing right now. So they'll kind of be well rested heading to Target Field tomorrow. And then, good news, you got the Guardians after the Angels series. So these were 9 must winners if you want to get back in this thing.
Yeah,
with the Twins, they'll lose 7-9 against these 3 teams, and then they'll get hot against Cleveland and sweep that series or something stupid like that.
Yeah, they're gonna beat Cleveland, they'll beat Boston, they'll sweep Baltimore, they'll sweep the Giants, they'll sweep Baltimore, and all of a sudden, like, what? And then they'll play the Royals again and get swept.
And then get swept by the A's or something dumb.
Yeah,
that's baseball though.
That's baseball, baby.
You love to hate it.
Love to hate it. Luke Keyshaw, I thought over the weekend had a good start to his career. The thing about Luke Keyshaw, and we didn't really have a huge chance to talk about it in the moment, but Luke Keyshaw getting called up kind of late Thursday night to play Friday. Luke Keyshaw is a prospect that he's a good hitter. Like, he's a hitting prospect. Profile, he's not super tall, doesn't have the biggest arm, probably profiles long-term as the second baseman / first baseman / whatever. But that's kind of where he wants to play. He is not a huge power guy, but what he is he rips gaps, finds a way to get the bat onto the ball. His contact is, Luis Ariz is like the 99th percentile. But you also, like, if you want to give a player comparison, it's kind of like him. He just has a knack for putting the bat on the ball, good eye at the strike zone. And you saw it with the first hit of his career. It was an ugly looking swing, but that was the intent. He just kind of found a way to get the good part of the bat on the ball and poked a single into right field. And that's the kind of hitter Luke Keyshaw is going to be. Remember, the Twins last year tried to trade for, Fetty, or tried to trade for one of the guys on the White Sox last year, Crochet, I think it was, who's on Boston now, tried to trade for him. And the White Sox are like, we want Luke Keyshaw. And the Twins are like, absolutely not. We do not want to give you Luke Keyshaw, which means they got some pretty high hopes for Luke Keyshaw. So that's kind of the thing to look at. He's the one bright spot right now for the Twins in Keyshaw, because the starting pitching, for the most part, has been good. The bullpen, the ERA wise, they've been okay. Win probability added wise, in terms of like how high leverage the spot was coming in and how bad it was coming out, really bad.
Yeah, Twins at a 93.3% win probability before Griffin Jacks came in on Friday. I don't know if you saw that.
Follow this team. The Twins since, by the way, that fateful Sunday afternoon in Texas.
I was there.
Only the White Sox.
Oh, last year. Yeah, that one. I thought you meant the Houston game where they're up 7-1 and lost. I was at that game. I wasn't in Texas. This isn't my fault.
No,
this isn't my fault.
Not this time. The one time the Twins do score 7 runs, the bullpen's like, what? Meatball.
Yep.
Meatball. It's that, you ever see that reel where it's the guy and he's like, how do we blow that lead? How do we have one guy pitch give up no runs for 6 innings, and we have a bullpen guy come in and throw meatballs like he's working at a sub shop? I hate this team.
That's my favorite baseball team right now.
That's me. That's the joke is, like, every January you see it, like me when my team loses an NFL game. It's like, shoot,
yeah,
we'll get them next week. When my team loses 1 of 162, how do you blow that lead? Ah!
It's over. Like, yeah,
it's over. And then every time they win, we've never been so back.
Sounds familiar.
Put
it on a t-shirt. We've never been so back.
What we do is we have "It's So Over" and "It's So Back," but it's like reversible.
Reversible. Oh, dude, those would sell so fast at the fair.
There we go.
I think you got it. You just did our fair idea.
There we go.
Reversible fandom shirts.
It's so over with like a thumbs down emoji. It's so back.
I love it.
There we go. We are set. There we go. All right. Well, let's end the podcast by talking about this one thing. Did you see over the weekend that Paige Bueckers is going to have her own city?
I did. How about that?
Yeah. Explain to the folks at home, Zeke, what that whole thing is about.
So she's from Hopkins, and Hopkins is so proud of the achievements of Paige Bueckers so far. Number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft. She goes to Dallas. They lose Luka. Who cares? They have Paige Bueckers now. I saw a post by the Dallas Stars hockey team that said, "Welcome home, Paige," and that felt filthy to me because Paige is ours, and we love us some Paige Bueckers. And here, reigning NCAA champ, the city of Hopkins. I forget the date. Was it today or is it tomorrow or sometime soon?
Yeah,
they're renaming Hopkins, Minnesota, as Paige Bueckers, Minnesota, for an entire day, and there's no greater honor than that. So, congrats, Paige, and congrats, Minnesota, because we've churned out another fantastic talent that's not going to do anything here until she hits free agency. Then maybe she signs with the Lynx. That'd be sweet.
They'll pull a Lindsay Whalen.
That would be trade for her. Yeah. She underperforms her first couple of years. Dallas gets sick of her. We bring her in. She wins us 5 titles. Then becomes head coach of the Gophers. Make it happen. The Brett Favre route. Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it. Come on. I need something. Anything.
Paige Bueckers is going to win 7 titles and 9 MVPs for Dallas. Let's be honest, because she's awesome. She's not going to flame out.
We have a problem here on tomorrow night, because if the Twins lose to the White Sox, that's going to crash me out. But if the Wild and the Wolves also lose, that Wednesday morning could be pretty bad.
I'm gonna call in sick right now. Oh yeah, tomorrow Twins at 6:40, Wolves at 9, Wild at 11. Let's go.
Good job, NBA and NHL.
Bucks, Pacers, Thunders, Grizzlies, Wolves, Lakers. Yeah, those are all. Well, Bucks, Pacers may be okay. Grady's on the call on ESPN for that one. I'll watch. I'd watch that game.
I hate how ESPN lets Mike Breen do Knicks games, but they're like, "No, Grady, you can't do Wolves games." You know how many opportunities we missed in prime time to have Naz Reid make a 3 and go cash or bucket or
big
bottom
jelly.
Or big
they don't know what they're missing.
They don't know what they're missing. This is annoying. I don't like it. Why waste them on an Eastern Conference series? Come on.
Yep.
Lame.
Very
lame.
But let's keep having play-in tournaments with teams that are 10 games under 500 and tie everybody else for the playoffs. That sounds great.
Yep. Sounds awesome. Good job, Adam Silver. All right. Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Aren't you having fun on a Monday? We'll see you tomorrow.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.